कितना बताइए? 90 तोले अंदाज से आपने बात करनी है, ठीक है? आपने इधर उधर की बात नहीं करनी है, ठीक है? दे देना।
ये भी रिकॉर्ड बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। वैसे तो इट्स मच इजियर अगर आप सवाल कर लें, बट आई जस्ट वांट टू से वन और टू थिंग्स। एक तो इट्स माय प्लेजर टू मीट एवरीवन, और बड़ा अच्छा है कि इतनी स्ट्रॉन्ग एसोसिएशन है, स्पेशली द पाकिस्तान कैनेडियन विमेंस एसोसिएशन। विमेन डेवलपमेंट पे हमारा बहुत ज़्यादा एम्फोसिस है। और बट आप भूल गए पीटीआई की यहाँ चैप्टर भी है, विच शुड नॉट बी फॉरगॉटन। नहीं, बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली पीटीआई पे हमारा फर्स्ट क्लेम है, वी आर पीटीआई एंड वी हमारा स्ट्रगल एक रहा है, यूनिक स्ट्रगल खान साहब का। बट मेरी अपने हमारी जो मिनिस्ट्री है ह्यूमन राइट्स की, ये 2015 के एंड में बनी थी, अलहदा हुई थी, बट इट वाज नॉट गिवन इट्स ड्यू इम्पोर्टेंस। सो आई आस्क्ड फॉर दिस मिनिस्ट्री when I realized कि I'm not getting the foreign affairs ministry, unfortunately, उस पर भी जद्दोजहद जारी है, but I asked for this particular ministry because मुझे पता था इसका काम क्या है, and it was interesting, and हमने I was active in struggles जैसे enforced disappearances वगैरह के issues हमने take up किए हुए थे when I was not in power, तो I knew कि इसमें interesting काम हो सकता है। और कई चीज़ों पे काम हो रहा है, कई चीज़ों पे हम फंस गए हैं। इनफोर्स्ड डिसअपीयरेंस विच इज़ एन इशू वेरी क्लोज टू माई हार्ट, उस पर अभी डिस्कशंस जारी हैं। हमने बिल अपना तैयार कर लिया है टू क्रिमिनलाइज इट, पीपीसी में अमेंडमेंट करके, लेकिन कई स्टेक होल्डर्स अभी नहीं एग्री कर रहे, सो डिस्कशंस उस पर जारी हैं। बट पाकिस्तान में हम ह्यूमन राइट्स की बात होती है तो वी से ये भी ख़राब है, वो भी ख़राब है, हम एडमिट करते हैं बहुत सी खराबियाँ हैं, बट कई चीज़ों में हम प्रोग्रेस कर रहे हैं जिसका हमें क्रेडिट नहीं मिलता। अभी मैं इंटरव्यूज़ में यही बता रही थी, फॉर एग्जांपल हम वाहिद तो नहीं, बट वन ऑफ द फ्यू कंट्रीज़ जो अपने नॉन मुस्लिम सिटीजन्स को उनके पर्सनल लॉज अलाउ करते हैं। जैसे हिंदू मैरिज एक्ट पास हुआ है, अब क्रिश्चियन मैरिज और डिवोर्स बिल पास नहीं हो रहा। हमारा इसमें कोई कसूर नहीं है, क्रिश्चियन कम्युनिटी आपस में एग्री नहीं कर रही। हम इतने करीब आ गए थे कि फाइनली हमने एग्रीमेंट कर ली, तो वन चर्च केम अप एंड सेड नहीं जी ये तो नहीं हो सकता, क्योंकि पाकिस्तान में द 18 डिफरेंट डिनोमिनेशंस ऑफ क्रिश्चियन चर्चेस। तो जिस दिन वो फैसला कर लेंगे, फाइनली मैंने उन्हें कह दिया जी आप आपस में कर लें फैसला, जब आप फैसला कर लेंगे बिल हम आपका थ्रू करवा देंगे। तो वो फिर ट्रांसजेंडर हमारा जो लॉ है, I think we are one of five or six countries in the world which have a transgender law, जिसमें जो अब ऑपरेशनलाइज हो रहा है। हेल्थ कार्ड सबसे पहले प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने जो फंक्शन किया, ट्रांसजेंडर्स को सबसे पहले हेल्थ कार्ड उधर डिस्ट्रीब्यूट हुए। उनका स्पेशल वार्ड हमने बना दिया है पिम्स में, और बाकी प्रोविंसेस को क्या है वहाँ भी वार्ड्स बनाए उनको। हम वी आर वन ऑफ दोज कंट्रीज जो कि आईडी कार्ड पे वी गिव देम द चॉइस ऑफ चूजिंग देयर आइडेंटिटी। कई ममालिक में नहीं होता, दे आर फोर्स्ड टू गिव आइदर और, वी हैव अलाउड देम द चॉइस। तो ये काफ़ी चीज़ें ऐसी हैं जिनको मैं समझती हूँ हमें क्रेडिट मिलना चाहिए और नहीं मिल रहा। बट हैविंग सेड दैट, वी हैव अ लॉट ऑफ इश्यूज। चाइल्ड अब्यूज़ का बहुत बड़ा मसला है, एंड उस पर हमने अवेयरनेस प्रोग्राम्स शुरू किए हुए हैं। और क्या कहते हैं, हमारा बिल अब पीपीपी के हेडेड कमेटी में फंसा हुआ है, सेनेट में ज़ैनब अलर्ट बिल। हमारा पीपल विद डिसेबिलिटीज़ का बिल भी सेनेट में फंसा हुआ है, असेंबली से पास हो गया है, क्योंकि ह्यूमन राइट्स कमेटी नेशनल असेंबली की भी इज़ हेडेड बाय बिलावल जरदारी भुट्टो, एंड सेनेट की भी इज़ हेडेड बाय पीपीपी, तो उधर हमें प्रॉब्लम्स पड़ रहे हैं। तो ऐसी चीज़ें हैं काफ़ी। कई दफ़ा आर्बिट्ररी अरेस्ट वगैरह भी हो जाते हैं, एंड वी हैव टू ट्राई एंड ओवरकम दोज। बट ये वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड एक पूरी लेगेसी है इस किस्म की चीज़ें। स्टेट को जो फ्रीडम मिली हुई थी टू असर्ट द अथॉरिटी, एक क्लाइमेट ऑफ इनटॉलरेंस चलती आ रही है। तो जब आपको चेंज करना है तो ओवरनाइट चेंजेस बिकम डिफिकल्ट, बट आई थिंक वी आर हेडिंग इन द राइट डायरेक्शन। इस वास्ते sometimes one gets pessimistic, but I think there's no need to, because जैसे हमने भी सीखा, पहले हम जब आए थे वी फॉर्म द गवर्नमेंट, हमने कहा सारा कुछ हम एकदम बदल देंगे, देन वी गॉट स्टक. पहले तो ब्यूरोक्रेसी विच वी इनहेरिटेड फ्रॉम द ब्रिटिश, फाइल जिस तरीके से मूव करती है, इट्स टॉर्चर. बल्कि व्हेनेवर पीपल अब्रॉड आस्क मी कि व्हाट इज द बिगेस्ट प्रॉब्लम, आई ऑलवेज से इट्स द ब्यूरोक्रेसी, बिकॉज रियली बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है ब्यूरोक्रेसी का. एक फिर दूसरा, पार्लियामानी सिस्टम जो है उसके अपने एक तौर तरीके होते हैं. जैसे बिल्स की मैं बात कर रही थी, बल्कि मैं तो आई कंक्लूडेड नाउ कि मिनिस्ट्री की तरफ से बिल असेंबली में इंट्रोड्यूस करना इज अ स्लो प्रोसेस. अगर किसी प्राइवेट मेंबर को हम दे दें तो इट इज़ मच क्विकर, बिकॉज फिर इट डजंट गो थ्रू डिफरेंट मिनिस्ट्रीज, सीधा असेंबली से कमेटी में जाता है. तो आई एम थिंकिंग कि जो अगर हमारे एक जर्नलिस्ट बिल अभी मैंने ख़त्म किया, बल्कि कल रात को फाइनल उसका कर रही थी, ड्राफ्ट किया, एंड आई एम सीरियसली थिंकिंग कि मे बी shorter ways to get it done through a private member rather than the government introducing a bill. So these are shortcomings, we have to learn to deal with it, or we are learning to deal with it. और हमारा PTI का कल्चर तो इनको पता होगा, सैफ साहब को, इज़ अ ओवरली डेमोक्रेटिक कल्चर. तो वो कल्चर गवर्नमेंट में भी अब आया हुआ है. सो पीपल गेट डिस्टर्ब समटाइम्स कि कोई मिनिस्टर कुछ कह रहा है, कोई कुछ कह रहा है. भी हमारा PTI का डेमोक्रेटिक ट्रेडिशन है, इससे कोई वी डोंट फील थ्रेटन्ड बाय इट. एंड द प्राइम मिनिस्टर इज़ अ वेरी कॉन्फिडेंट प्राइम मिनिस्टर. ही डजंट फील थ्रेटन्ड अगर कोई मिनिस्टर गवर्नमेंट की पॉलिसी को क्रिटिसाइज कर देता है. Although by and large we try not to, because cabinet is the place where you should be doing that criticism. बहरहाल this is the situation. आप सवाल कर लें तो it may be easier. जी.
मुझे actually I want to question you about the transgender thing. Whenever I go to Pakistan and I see them, it's a very very painful thing for me actually personally. अब ये जो transgender है, आपको पता है कि they are no different than us. The only difference is that they are anatomically different, right? Otherwise, जब मैंने पिछले साल में न्यूज़ पढ़ रही थी कि उनको हॉस्पिटल्स में ट्रीटमेंट नहीं मिल रही थी. Actually, one of the person was killed too. और अभी आप मुझे बताया अभी आपने कि पिम्स में इनके लिए एक स्पेशल वार्ड बना दिया गया है. Why should they have a special ward? Why? Just like
women have a separate ward also.
Privacy. That's the privacy. So why do they need the privacy? Like here in Canada, nobody knows about transgender or whatever. Nobody cares, right? Every person is treated equally in the same way.
No, you're treated equally, but you have the privacy of the ward because हमारी society के pressures ऐसे, और दूसरा हम women को भी तो लहदा ward पे रखते हैं. And अब आप देखें अमेरिका में क्या problem हुई when transgenders couldn't use certain public bathrooms. It became an issue. So treatment is given equally, but the transgenders wanted कि उनको अलहदा दिया जाए, जैसे prisons में भी. We've asked कि क्योंकि they get abused, so they should have separate cells.
And I think
you need to have separate cells.
But I personally see that as, again, in a way, it is a discrimination. Why should they be treated differently?
No, they're not treated differently.
Yeah.
They're
So
just like
a privilege. It's a
no.
privilege.
What
like
I'm saying,
privilege. We'll have a conversation.
no. What I'm saying is, it's not discrimination. They get the same treatment. They want to have a separate ward. We're giving them the choice of having a separate ward. And I think you respect their privacy. Why should they be thrown in with a women ward or a male ward? I think if they want to have, just like you keep women in a separate ward. So why should, if women are given the right to have their privacy, why shouldn't a transgender have the right to privacy? I don't think it's discrimination. I think the West, in fact, by not giving them that privilege, is discriminating against transgenders.
Maybe looking at things.
Maybe.
Yeah, but other thing is that like what are we doing to educate people about it, right? Generally, if you see, they are treated very poorly in the society, right? As if like there's so much stigma attached with it. So what are we doing as a government to like maybe educate people about it?
The incidents you were talking about was in the previous government, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa में हुआ था, where the transgender was denied this thing. Under law now they can't be denied, so the protection is offered by law. Secondly, unlike in many Western countries, you give them the choice of identity, which many here don't do. Thirdly, they have to be given employment. Hamari ministry mein, for example, we have a very educated transgender who actually now is in charge of our sensitization programs जो हम judiciary के साथ कर रहे हैं और police के साथ कर रहे हैं. We've done the two courses of sensitization of the police vis-a-vis transgenders and how to be sensitive to the issues. हमने इस्लामाबाद पुलिस के साथ किया है, पिंडी पुलिस के साथ किया है. Now we are Sindh Judicial Academy में we are doing the sensitization for Sindh police. So we are educating people, the authorities who have to deal with them in this way, sensitizing people to them. But employment opportunities are now being given. For example, for the first time हमारे media में we have 3 anchors who are transgenders who do their programs. हमारी ministry में, as I said, we have a highly educated, she's an MPhil, and she has an identity which she prefers to be a female identity, and she's in charge of all our transgender sensitizations. बल्कि जब PM House में ये health card दिए गए थे, so she went from our ministry and helped the Prime Minister and so on. She was emceeing the whole program. So this is something that is coming about. But I really think कि the West also.
अभी मैं गई थी तो सारे बेचारे जो है ना वो भीख मांग रहे थे और.
अच्छा, let me tell you that we wanted them to come into mainstream employment. Do you know they don't want to? Because they said हमें protection police से सिर्फ दिलवाएं, but they earn so much more. They said that they don't want to leave that profession. That's the way it is. Unfortunately, those who want to leave do leave. For example, a number of the private TV channels, their makeup artists are transgenders, and I know that because when we have our meetings with transgenders, वो आते हैं, and those who want jobs in the mainstream will get the jobs. But unfortunately, what they want, and now we are opening up a transgender protection center also in Islamabad. Our ministry has the building. We're trying to fix it up so that we can have a protection center for those who are harassed or have no place to go. We are also opening a for the first time, we've got a senior citizens bill also, which is at the moment with the National Assembly Standing Committee on Human Rights. So we are trying, but if they don't want to change the sort of traditional profession that they went into.
I think a lot of education needs to be done.
Education needs to be done, but also
and awareness.
But also educating, especially the police, because that's the transgenders themselves have identified that as the major problem, and they've said we don't want you taking us out of our profession. We want the protection of the police, and the police should not harass us. And I think if you go now and talk to the Islamabad police, you'll have a very different attitude. They will have a very different attitude, you will find, towards transgenders.
One more thing is, can I just ask this one too? About the child labor. Like when I go to Pakistan, again I see all these young children, 7 to 8 years old, begging and on the streets. And like the way, I've been here since 1982, so maybe it's a little bit different way of looking at things too, for me. For me, children has as much rights as older people do, right? And they can't make decisions at that age. So again, like, is government intervening? Is government doing something about that to protect the rights of the children?
We have
for education.
We already have a Child Rights Act for Islamabad, and in most of the provinces there are child protection bureaus. The problem with beggars is there's a mafia, and every time Islamabad में आप पकड़ते हैं उनको तो they shift to Pindi. Then it becomes because after the 18th Amendment everything is in the provinces. So Islamabad can't do much. The other point is that street children के लिए now, for example, in Islamabad, out of school children are being enrolled in afternoon classes in all the government schools. This program has started, and at least 5,000 to 6,000 children who were out of school are now in school in Islamabad, and we're hoping that the provinces will also take up this issue. So there are child protection centers. When our Zainab Alert bill is passed, it will become much stronger to protect children, especially against kidnapping and abuse. We're also now setting up, I hope soon, with the FIA and NADRA and our ministry, a sex offenders registry, which we will link with sex offenders registries in countries that have them. Like the UK has one, other European countries do, I don't know about Canada. so that any sex offender who's punished in any country, the information will be shared. And that way we will be aware, because we've had incidences. There was a man who who was a sex offender. He completed his sentence in the UK and he came back to Pakistan, and there was no information on what offence he had committed because the UK wasn't sharing it. But if we have the sex offenders registry, then we'll be able to have that information. So a lot of that work is being done. We're not saying we've overcome all the problems, but these are issues that nobody dealt with for decades. So it will take time, but I think that we're moving ahead pretty quickly. And I also feel that we take up issues of what is happening to our diaspora in some of the Western countries. I mean, for example, with the Europeans, I always take up that, okay, you keep telling us we have human rights violations, but what are you doing to the Muslims in your countries? Austria is closing down the mosques. They have no freedom of religion, that means. Other countries are not allowing Muslim women to wear hijab or to wear the dress that they want. Is that not an abuse of or discrimination against Muslims? But nobody talks about it. There was an incident in Canada somewhere where a mosque was attacked, but it was all hushed up and it was not regarded as terrorism. If a church had been attacked, it would have been called terrorism. So I think Western countries have to also look within themselves to see the hypocrisy. I mean, it's okay for them to tell us what's wrong with us, but they should also look at themselves and realize what's wrong in their societies, especially vis-a-vis discrimination in human rights.
Thank you.
Ji.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your visit over here. It is your personal visit. And my name is Nasir Pirzada from the Miracle Media. And also I am the part of the Canadian Muslim Media Club. My question, because we live over here since many years as a Canadian, so I have to ask as a Canadian. And what your government means, the PTI government did about the relation between Canada and the Pakistan government. Because in past 1.5 years, being a Prime Minister Imran Khan, he came 2-3 times over here in Canada, especially he knows, he brought him over here and in Surrey over here. And after the government built up, he never think about over here what's the reason, you will tell us. The second important, the last year and day before the Chief Justice of Pakistan, ex-former Sakim Nisar Sahab, he was here and most of us donated for the dam fund. But unfortunately, after 1 year, no good news we heard. Okay. So you have to clarify, because the people who donated, not only the Pakistani community donated, the Sikh community, Punjabi community means South Asian community, they donated very well in this fund. So they are asking what happened about that. The government is in many crises, we know that. We know each news of Pakistan over here. So you have to tell us what the position, what the current position of the dam.
Okay. One, I have already committed to the gentleman sitting right there that I will get details of what exactly is the situation with the dam fund. I know that the fund has not got enough money to start the dam, but what exactly has happened to it, we need to find out. It's not in my domain, the finance minister deals with, but I will give the information. Let me get back within a week, I'll send it to our Consul General and he should be able to communicate the exact position. Because yes, everybody who's donated has a right to know. And people are asking this question in many parts of the world, not just here. On Canada-Pakistan relations, I think the PM has not visited Canada for the simple reason that our main priority, because of the conflicts and because of our economic needs and so on, has been to build up our ties in our region, to move towards getting the Afghan issue resolved, and hence and because of the Kashmir issue, the Prime Minister went to the UN, he went to the US because we needed to discuss not only Kashmir but also the Afghan peace process, which was stalling. And I think that primarily the Prime Minister, because of the economic crunch, visited Saudi Arabia and Qatar and these countries. So I think that he will probably come this side, but at the moment we have to deal with the crises that confront us. And therefore the need to focus more in our region, China included, because China is a big investor in Pakistan, and the CPEC projects are now taking off. Some have already actually, the CPEC motorway, which is from Multan to Sakhar, is a wonderful, now I can reach my hometown in Rajanpur in 8 hours instead of 12 hours, and it's a wonderful road. So things are progressing that way. I think foreign policy, maybe the foreign ministry representatives should tell you more about Pakistan-Canada relations. But I know that the Prime Minister spoke to the Justin Trudeau, and I think that the issue of Kashmir was raised. I also think we are focusing on trade, because we are looking eastwards, and Vancouver is in a way a gateway to Asia also. So I think that trade relations, there is a lot of potential, and because now Pakistan mein humne ease of business के rules बना दिए हैं, a lot of the red tapeism has disappeared. It's much easier for investors to come. So we hope that people, especially our overseas Pakistanis, will come and invest in Pakistan, because a lot of concessions and a lot of red tapeism has gone, a lot of concessions are being offered. So this is the time basically to come and invest in Pakistan, especially in the housing industry. So you should come and check out the opportunities also, Malik Sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, first of all, welcome to Vancouver, and we thank you for giving your precious time, even though it's your private visit. You didn't have to do this, but we thank you for that. And another thanks to the government for having a Ministry for Human Rights, which is excellent, by the way, because we had been trying for that, praying for that too. On that note, one of the issues that is faced by mostly non-Muslim Pakistanis is this sword hanging on their thread all the time, and I'm going to call it out. It is people being falsely accused under blasphemy law in Pakistan, which is a big issue. In the recent past, we again thank the government to supporting the minorities on at least Asia Bibi, that she could get justice, and that goes to the court as well. And but there are so many people who are falsely accused yet waiting trial. वो बाहर भी निकल आते हैं even when they are free to go their homes, उनको खतरा खौफ रहता है, लेकिन जिन्होंने वो झूठे केसेस बनाए हैं उन पे कुछ भी नहीं हुआ. Or like Rimsha Masih, Asia Masih, and there are so many other on that note. So just a simple question, I would say.
No, on the blasphemy issue, पहली बात ये कि the Supreme Court has now set a strong precedence in a judgment that anybody who is falsely accused will be charged of that crime. And I think that now makes it difficult for somebody to do false accusations. This does not get rid of the problem that is there, because most of those who've been charged with blasphemy, unki trials hi nahi ho rahe. They're sitting in jails for 6, 7, 8 years awaiting trial. In fact, this whole under trial issue has become a big issue, because we've discovered in the Police Reforms Commission that I was on, and now we're implementing the reforms. Hopefully we're beginning to. The 60 to 70% of overcrowding in prisons is exactly because of under trial prisoners. That out of the prison population, depending which province we're looking at, 60 to 70% of those prisoners are under trial prisoners, and that includes the blasphemy prisoner. But yes, blasphemy is, the false accusations in blasphemy cases is a very serious issue, and if nothing else, a trial should be expedited. But the bigger problem is also कि अगर वो शख्स free भी हो जाता है, एक तो he's lost all that time of his life being falsely accused, and secondly, it's very difficult for him to live there. And by the way, you know that more than 60% of those accused of blasphemy are Muslims, not Christians or Hindus or anything. So it's not,
very sad.
it's not just a problem for the non-Muslim community, it's a problem that at some stage the government has to tackle in a more active way. I totally agree with you on that issue. We have a law, but we have to ensure that it is not abused, that law. So I totally agree with you, and we are having discussions on that. And we need to rectify the wrongs that have been done to many people who've been falsely accused. But what is interesting is that now, you know, there was this Muslim gentleman in Nankana he got people worked up and against. He has been charged with that. He has been charged with blasphemy also for threatening a Sikh religious site. Or a little while earlier, Sindh mein, when some Muslims attacked a Hindu temple, they've also been charged with blasphemy. So this is interesting that that is happening.
If I may, an eye for an eye would leave the whole town.
No, that I agree.
You know.
But at some stage, look, I'm not going to say that the law is there, okay? But what you need is you have to prevent its abuse.
Right.
And one of the things that has happened recently is, as I said, the Supreme Court judgment, which has categorically stated that anybody who makes a false accusation will themselves be punished under that law. So that at least will prevent future false accusations. But we have to deal with those who are already languishing in jails, jinki trial, kam se kam trials to khatam honi chahiye.
Very right. Madam, Edwards College के बारे में मैंने पूछना था.
Edwards College का sort out हो गया as far as I know.
No मैडम नहीं हुआ.
जी?
कभी तक कोई चर्च को जो ओनर्स है राइटफुल उनको इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं है इसके बारे में.
I don't know if the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa government is dealing with it and the governor of the province, but as far as I know, there was some discussion and dialogue that was going on, and I was given to understand that maybe it has been resolved. I actually don't know. I know up to the fact that discussion ho rahi thi, and I asked Shah Farman, the governor, a while back. He said, "Bas ho raha hai." And then, frankly, I didn't follow it up because it was a provincial matter. But
we have very high hopes with PTI government.
I
बड़ी
think
मेहनत करके हमने FC कॉलेज वापस लिया था.
It should be resolved, but FC College the Americans ने नहीं ले लिया.
No, it is with the Presbyterian Church is the owner of that.
Yeah.
And the Presbyterian Church is basically US based. Primarily.
Yes, उनका headquarter यहीं पे ही है, लेकिन PC वो Presbyterian Church पाकिस्तान की पास उसकी ownership है. It's a US, has nothing to do with it. Dr. Arma Cost उसके first principal आए थे.
नहीं, I know NFC College is producing some very good scholars. So.
अच्छा result निकला उसका.
हाँ.
But
I think Edwards College का resolve हो जाना चाहिए. I will find out and send back the message to the consulate.
Thank you.
Yes, madam. I'll take a very short time.
Yeah. So, thank you very much for all the update that you provided. It's really encouraging to hear that a lot of bills and laws are being passed. But what is being done to enforce those laws, and especially through the police and the judiciary, and what are we doing to make people safe enough to approach actually police and judiciary as well? Because without that enforcement, these laws will be of no use.
I think if people are not afraid to approach the judiciary, the cost is a lot.
Yeah.
And therefore, I don't know, maybe you're not aware, but the previous Chief Justice had arranged the alternate courts, which used to sit for longer periods and, try and resolve a number of the smaller cases that were going on. So that's one thing. Then we are now reforming the entire criminal judicial system and also the civil judicial system, because this is from British times and it needed it. So by the end of this year, beginning of next year, we should have a updated criminal judicial system and the civil judicial system. What we have done, for example, succession certificates ka. Now you can get it directly from Nadra. So you don't have to go to various municipal corporations or idhar udhar jidhar paise khai jate the. We've eliminated that and we've simplified that procedure. For inheritance rights also, we've simplified the procedure. So a lot of things in that sense are being done. Police sensitization is something that we take very seriously. or we are doing a number of sensitization programs with the police. I agree with you. Pakistan, by the way, is an over-legislated country. Issue is not legislation, but enforcement. So we are focusing on actually enforcing the law. We have also now almost completed the law for legal aid. We've used the British system of legal aid, and now legal aid will be formally provided. So that is another thing that we have done. We have also established now a very short procedure for mercy petitions. पहले वो mercy petition प्राइम मिनिस्टर के पास प्रेसिडेंट के पास बाद में पहुंचती थी, वो बंदे पे सेंटेंस हो जाता था, carried out. We have short circuited that. हमने एक simplified form बना दिया है कंप्यूटर पे. All jails will use that form. They will go. It's a 4-step procedure. The jail superintendent will send the mercy petition to the Home Ministry. Home Ministry will send it to our committee at the center. We will send it to the PM, who will recommend to the president. So ये भी हमने streamline कर दिया है. The other thing we're doing is we've discovered कि capital punishment के duplicate laws हैं. There are a lot of crimes which now you don't need to. British times से जैसे Railways Act है कि if you sabotage a line, the sentence is death. Now you have an Anti-Terror Act, so you don't need that. So we're trying to reduce the number of crimes for which the death penalty should be exercised. So, so these sort of old British laws we are looking at again. So a lot of things are being done to improve the law, improve the implementation of the law, and also to improve the image of the police and actually make the police people friendly rather than people being scared to go to the police. I think that, but those reforms again will take time. One of the problems that we have, and there's nothing we can do about it, we have to work around it, is after the 18th Amendment, everything is with the provinces. So the center, where we have our own governments, we can move more actively. But up Sindh mein there's not much we can do. Abhi IG pe jhagda chal raha hai. Things like that. Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Punjab, we can effectively do a lot, but in Sindh we cannot do anything, and that's a big problem. But this is the way it is, and we have to work around it. There's nothing we can do to change that.
last question, Harun.
There's a lady there asking.
Thank you. Sorry, I need.
It's okay.
And I'm going to ask this question, which is not directly related to Balochistan, but on a whole, aapki kyunki ministry nahi hai human rights ki, but it's kind of indirectly, that's where I'm coming from, because I think you're the only other Baloch in this room right now. So how do you proportion weightage to aapne human rights ko, kyunki it's a new ministry, I feel, ki kin areas ko aapne pehle address karna hai? Is it based on the population of a province? Is it based on the economic output जो वहाँ से आ रहा है? Is it based on वहाँ पे कितना backlog है in previous decades कि वो कितने पीछे हैं, हमें उनको कितनी ज़रूरत है? Is it based on justice, equality? Like I want to understand how it works, because आपने काफी सारे questions तो मेरे already answer किए. There are acts, there are bills जो आप लोग pass कर रहे हो, disappearances पे and all, but but I just want to see how it's.
We have a issue-based approach and a rights-based approach. So, because provinces have their own human rights ministries, somewhere they're called social welfare ministries, somewhere Punjab has a human rights minister also, who belongs to the minorities, by the way, and he's a very good minister too. But traditionally, the approach raha used to be a social welfare approach. We've changed that, and we have a rights-based approach, that women have rights, children have rights, transgenders, everybody has rights, and we need to enforce them, because the constitution ka pura pehla chapter is about rights that are given there. I forgot to mention child labor, aapne baat ki thi. It's very interesting. ILO, and I pointed this out to an ILO team that had come. I said ILO needs to revise its definition of child, because they allow children over 14 to be employed in factories, which means you're actually defining child labor up to only 14, whereas by and large in most countries adult is defined as 16 or 18. So my constitution is 16. I mean, there's this contradiction in our constitution. Anyhow, so we don't do it on regions or we do it on issues. Whether it's child abuse, it's an issue. but we can't implement everything across the country because of the 18th Amendment. So what we can do is we can tell the provinces कि आप ये कानून अपनी assembly से pass करें. So our prioritization is on issues. It's issue based. It's not based on which province gives out, because we can't implement laws in the provinces.
Yeah, that makes sense. But again, coming back to that, like human rights, I feel education comes into another category, I believe. But
that's also devolved.
A human has a right. मतलब even अगर आप वहाँ पे regulated schooling नहीं चल रही ना, a child or a person is constantly getting schooled from their environment. Even in our First Nation, देख लें जब schooling नहीं थी या forced schooling, they're constantly learning. And it's your choice. You want to regulate it or you want to let them go to wherever they can learn from. So how important, do you think that should not also come under the human rights?
No, there's a federal ministry which is now establishing a national curriculum which will be the same, so that this parallel system of the elite and the poor will disappear. So all schools will teach a basic curriculum, whether it's a government school or a private school, and then they can add on to that. And madrasas will also now have the same curriculum, and madrasas have to be registered. But this is being done, headed by the Federal Education Ministry, but in collaboration with the provinces, because again the Federal Ministry can't enforce in the provinces. So what will be done is, the curriculum which is already being modified, the curriculum will be modified, and then we will request the provinces to implement that curriculum. I don't know whether Sindh will or not, but the other provinces will definitely do it. And we are also reforming the, there was a horrible ethics course जो पढ़ाया जाता है to the non-Muslims while the Muslims do Islamiyat. It's a terrible textbook. And the Christian community came to me, and they brought a whole lot of textbooks which were offensive.
Yes.
So I sent them to our education minister, Shafkat Mahmood, and I said, "Aap course revise kar rahe hain, to ye kare." And what we have suggested to the education ministry is, that just as Muslim children do Islamiyat, let the Christians and Hindus study their own religion in that time. So we are trying to get that done also, because those communities have committed that they will provide the teachers as well. So hopefully that should be done.
I'd just like to ask my question is, why Pakistani need a religion to be defined on the passport? That is a kind of, like, to me, is like
because we are the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, we are not a secular country.
But we have to define like what is your religion? There's no other country that asks for your religion on the passport.
They ask for it because we say we are the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, and therefore they need to. I have no issue if they don't ask for it. It's not something our government created. It's something that has gone on. If there is a general consensus not to have it, but I think the general consensus in Parliament has been that this should be there.
But I feel like soon they know like what is your religion, they treat you differently at the council.
Where?
At the Pakistani airport.
In Pakistani airports they don't?
Yes, they do.
In which way? I thought in foreign countries when they see you're a Muslim, they'll treat you differently.
I have seen it.
Tell me how. I mean, seriously, I'm not aware of that. In the sense that when you enter Pakistan on your Pakistani passport, they don't go through the second page where वो तो मुड़ के लिखा होता है religion, नीचे छोटा सा. They see your front page and they stamp it. So I'm not sure how they treat you differently, because I have not, as a Muslim, not experienced it. But I do know that if it says Pakistani, you will be treated differently when you enter a foreign country. You're put in a separate line, you're put in for questioning. So, but I don't think they even check religion. It's a nationality, Pakistani, or of course if your name they feel is a name that is suspicious because some terrorist has the same name, then you will be treated differently. And in which case then it's a problem of these countries, not ours.
Taking Shireen, maybe what, like I would actually kind of agree with him. that although we are Islamic Republic, but it is a secular country. Though,
no, we are not.
In a way, we are not secular.
No, we are not secular.
I thought Qaid-e-Azam wanted it to be a
He may be, but according to our constitution, we are the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, according to the constitution.
Because Imran Khan has so much emphasis on what Qaid-e-Azam said, right?
But I'm telling you the legal position.
Yeah.
According to our constitution, we are the Islamic Republic of Pakistan.
And again,
1973 constitution. So we are not a secular country. And if you say we're a secular country, you're factually incorrect.
Okay.
Thank you very much for saying the statement.
Yeah.
क्योंकि इसको सारे बड़े dodge करते रहते थे. Hats off to you.
No, but that's what our constitution says.
Yeah.
Whether you agree with it or not is different.
Yes.
But according to the constitution of Pakistan, we are an Islamic country. We are not a secular country. That's why you have Sharia laws as part of your mainstream
But what I was
laws.
saying was that even if it is an Islamic Republic country, like why do we, me and you being Muslim, we may not experience the same thing which other non-Muslims see on the airports or wherever, right?
No, I'm asking him how. Now, if you tell me, we will try and get rid of that. But if you don't tell me how,
Yeah, there was a big problem. Like myself, I'm an Ahmadi Muslim. I have to declare that I'm an Ahmadi, but I'm traveling on a Canadian passport now. It's that I'm not facing it, but there's many. If the Harun Bhai is facing he's a Christian. You have to do the Christian and the Ahmadis and then
no, but according to our constitution, Ahmadis are non-Muslims. Now, you may agree or you may not agree.
I do agree.
But the problem is that the Ahmadi community says no, they're Muslims. So that is where because that's why they don't take part in the elections under the minority
but
seats.
They should treat me as a Pakistani by the passport, regardless.
But
of
I'm
religion.
surprised.
That's beside the point.
Achha, I'm surprised. I don't know because I have not experienced
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just,
But I don't know if you have a Pakistani passport and you come into Pakistan and it says Christian, do they treat you differently?
No, I don't have a problem. Only our Ahmadi brothers.
I think maybe
sisters,
it's
they have
more of
this
an
problem.
issue with the Ahmadis.
एक सवाल मैं करूंगा, ये छोड़े रिलीजन को, तो ये तो बहुत ज्यादा बड़ा इशू हो जाएगा. मैं इंतखाब अहमद दिलम फ्रॉम पाकिस्तान से आपको एक सवाल मैंने करना है, वो ये कि ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस में मैं जब अभी पाकिस्तान गया था तो वहाँ पे सेल फोन पे 30,000 रुपीज जो है वो टैक्स लगाया जा रहा है. वो उसके बारे में
किस चीज पे?
सेल फोन जब आप लेके आ रहे हैं कि एक्स्ट्रा किसी उसके लिए अपने रिलेटिव के लिए गिफ्ट, तो
You're allowed one free.
Yes.
वन फ्री.
Yeah.
नो, जो आप अपना यूज कर रहे हैं वो या दूसरा वाला?
One, only one.
हाँ, तो ये मतलब
नहीं तो फिर आपका how do we know people are not bringing it for commercial purposes?
नहीं, आई मीन वन एक आप जैसे आप वो ले आए अपना पर्सनल यूज है, और एक आप अगर साथ में लेके आ रहे हैं किसी के, there should be some concern.
But this has nothing to do with ease of doing business.
No, है ना, लोग business कर रहे हैं.
This has nothing to do with ease of doing business, for heaven's sake. I don't know about these. This is not my purview. But we have, the country has earned a lot of income by taxing, because people were bringing in a lot of cell phones and then selling them in the markets.
Yeah.
So it's like, in a way, to stop smuggling.
And then
So-
after here too, luxury goods पे आपको tax लगता है, आप Canada लेकर आएंगे तो.
And it has nothing to do with ease of doing business. This is smuggling in, not ease of doing business.
One last question.
Since we were halfway about the topic of
you were saying कि
the
direct
election for the
होने चाहिए.
minorities, तो उसमें to save time मैं ये कहूँगा कि जो आपकी मिनिस्ट्री है वो directly concerned ministry है. There are so many clauses in the constitution. I have done a lot of homework. It is already lying with the law ministry and with the human rights also. So you can, when you go back, I'll request you to have all that documentation. I presented a bill for the amendment of the constitution, as I was telling you earlier. Khan Saab, let me
Which
conclude.
amendment did you want? To which article?
The system of election for non-Muslims in Pakistan.
अच्छा, मुझे ये बताएं, even if I was to agree with it on principle, how will you then distribute seats between the various non-Muslims?
It was,
पारसी
it
की
is,
तरफ से लड़ेंगे,
मैं
हिंदूज
बताता
कौन सी
हूँ,
सीट
मैं
पर
बताता हूँ,
लड़ेंगे?
because I have been contesting the minority seats throughout the Pakistan. Worst thing was my constituency was the whole country. It was not practical, but I did it. And I won 3 elections under that direct vote by the non-Muslims. Now we want the system back, but with the constituencies. You make the delimitation of the constituencies for the non-Muslim, and answer to your question, that how we will distribute. It is already distributed in the previous system of election for non-Muslims.
Okay.
There are still 10 seats in the parliament and the National Assembly. There used to be 4 for Christians, 4 for Hindus, and 1 for Sikh, Buddhist, Parsis, and 1 for Ahmadis. It is already in the constitution. And the worst thing I must mention that in 2002 the general seats were increased by then government in 2002, and but no non-Muslim seat was increased. So there are only 2 issues in my bill which is still over there, that to increase the seats for non-Muslims with the same formula that was implied and used to increase the general seats.
Okay.
And secondly,
I'll take up the issue. I'm not
to do the delimitation of
But आपको पता है हमारी पार्टी ने तो इलेक्टोरल रिफॉर्म्स कमेटी में पिछली पार्लियामेंट में भी कहा था कि डायरेक्ट इलेक्शन सेनेट के भी करें and make bigger constituencies. जैसे अमेरिका में भी है सेनेट के डायरेक्ट इलेक्शंस, but no other party wanted.
That was the major cause of my joining PTI before election even. And Khan Sahab, he gave me the assurance that we will give you the right of vote.
I'll check up, but you know any constitutional amendment for us is very difficult because we don't have the majority.
Well, होनी चाहिए, ऊपर से करेगा मेहरबानी.
डॉक्टर साहब, खान साहब के ऊपर एक हॉट क्वेश्चन ये आया है कि खान साहब टेम्पो मनी के बारे में आपसे सवाल. क्वेश्चन ये आया है कि प्लीज आस्क क्वेश्चन रिगार्डिंग ओवरसीज पाकिस्तानी प्रॉब्लम्स सच एज फॉर एग्जांपल इमरान खान टेम्पो हिज मनी वाज विथड्रॉन बाय बैंक मैनेजर आफ्टर हिज वायरल वीडियो. Many minister and PTI MNA called him, but nothing happened.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
जो अभी खान साहब के ऊपर केस नहीं चल रहा कि जो ओवरसीज पाकिस्तानी पैसे भेजते हैं, ओवरसीज पाकिस्तानी
हमारी फॉरेन फंडिंग का
उसके बारे में आपके, क्योंकि हम लोग पाकिस्तान यहाँ पैसे भेजते रहे ना.
इलेक्शन कमीशन में केस चल रहा है ना,
तो ऑलरेडी
वो केस तो अपनी जगह, लेकिन आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगे तो जरूर, क्योंकि हम लोग भेजते रहे, आप लोगों ने स्टॉप कर दिया है, तो ये उसी बारे में है.
नहीं, but I can't do anything because the case is yet to be decided by the election commission. But I think उसमें issue इतना नहीं था जितना बनाया गया है. But I don't know what the judgment of the election commission will be, so I can't say anything on it. Neither is it an issue that I deal with.
तो वो तो 5 साल फिर लग जाएंगे.
मैं आंसर करता हूँ, और स्टॉप भी हमने नहीं किया, हम पैसे भेज रहे हैं, अभी भी भेज रहे हैं, अभी भी इस साल भी गए.
I just had a commendation and a comment about आपकी मैंने स्पीचेस सुनी जिसमें आप कहती हैं औरतों के हुकूक का कि उन्हें ये प्लीड करने की जरूरत नहीं है कि ये हमारा हक है, ये हमें दो. They are entitled to those rights, है ना, और उनको वो मिलने चाहिए. और फिर ये कि औरतों की ज़हनियत सबसे पहले तो माँ की तरबियत होनी चाहिए इसमें कि in terms of discriminating between raising a son and a daughter, how they उनको equally treat करना, और child abuse or domestic violence पे. So that's commendable that you bring up that topic again and again in your speeches, and that लेकिन उसके साथ एक कंसर्न ये होता है कि ठीक है हम औरतों को तो एम्पावर कर देंगे with education and awareness. How do we in a patriarchal society educate men how to deal with that?
You know, at the end of the day, you can't legislate on this. You have to change people's mindset. But look how far Pakistan has come from the time when I was growing up in Pakistan. Who would have thought you'd have fighter pilots as women? You know, so women, the careers are all open, and the problem for women is not the state, it's the families and society. And for that you need a change of mindset.
Pushback and resistance
and I think the change is coming purely because economic push padi hai. People need a second income, so women have started going out to work, and now all the professions are open to them. मुझे याद है जब पहली Zulfikar Ali Bhutto ki government आई थी, I was studying at LSE and Hafiz Pirzada was the Minister for Education and he had come there and we went to see him and I said, why are you not opening the foreign service to women? उस ज़माने में नहीं होती थी, उसके बाद जाके हुई है when women were allowed into the foreign service and now we have so many ambassadors who are women. So I mean change is coming but we have to change people's mindsets. But sadly our society is really polarization बहुत बढ़ रही है. We have not gotten over the post-Zia period. But at the end of the day, eventually, women are being educated, women are pushing into jobs, so that itself will change. When your workforce increases, the women workforce.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam.